I hope you are doing really well today. If you are studying for the Algebra Regents exam, that is awesome. Today, I'm going to go over a problem that typically would be a straightforward factoring problem. So we are going to take a look at that and kind of justify our answer in three different ways. So I want you to see which way you really connect with the most, because going into this test, you might want to say to yourself, okay, this is my method. And maybe the other methods could just be ways to double check your answer to make sure that you are right. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm just taking this from the June 2022 Regents exam. So that was the test that was given in June 2022. And let's take a look. So today we are just going to be looking at question number 4, which says, which expression is equivalent to x squared plus 5x minus 6? So typically speaking, we would approach this by doing a method of factoring. And I usually just call it the sum and product method, where we know this is going to factor into two binomials. I know my first part of the binomial, my first term, is going to be an x, because x times x is x squared. And then to get to the other numbers, we look for two numbers that sum to 5 and multiply to -6. The sum and product, maybe your teacher has used the salt and pepper method. I've heard teachers call this double bubble when they hear it like this, but we're looking for two numbers that multiply to -6 and add up to 5. So when you're doing this, I usually like to just start with my factors of 6. So all I've got is 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Now, since this is a negative, that means one of my values needs to be negative, one of my values needs to be positive. So what's going to work here is -1 and +6. -1 plus 6 is +5. -1 times +6 is -6. So we end up with x minus 1 and x plus 6. The order doesn't matter. We could write it as x plus 6 times x minus 1, which is answer choice 4. So that's one way we can solve it. The other way is to work backwards and use multiplication. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and check this. I'm going to use an area model just so that I remember to multiply all my terms with one another. So x plus 6 and x minus 1 is going to go on the side. Doesn't matter the order. So we have x times x is x squared. 6 times x is 6x. X times -1 is -1x, or just -x. 6 times 1 is -6. And I like this because you get to see where this double bubble thing comes from. So when I combine like terms, 6x minus x is 5x. And then -6. These are my terms. X squared. These we put together to get the 5x, and then -6, same as what we started with. Now, the last way that I'm going to show you right now is by choosing a number for x. And this is just a testing strategy. I definitely want you to know these two methods, just because it's always good in algebra to know how to do these two things. But if we want to test our answer, let x equal a number. I'm going to say 3. Using 1 isn't a great idea, and sometimes using 2 isn't a great idea because of squaring. So starting with 3 can be the most sense. So what I'm doing is I'm plugging it into my original. 3 squared plus 5 times 3 minus 6 9 plus 15 minus 6, 24 minus 6 is equal to 18. So now what I do is I plug in 3 over here and I make sure I get the same answer. So when I do that, I'm going to have 3 plus 6 times 3 minus 1, 9 times 2 is equal to 18, check. And I would say this is a really great method if you're unsure of your factoring. Maybe you just want to double check your answer, you have a little bit more time. Maybe the factoring problem looks a little different. Maybe it started off with a negative sign in front and that threw you off a little bit. But these are 3 different ways, and honestly, there is a 4th way. You could also plug this into y equals in your calculator and then plug all of these in and see which one gives you the same exact graph. If we thought of these as functions, right? So lots of ways to solve one problem. Like I said, I think knowing how to factor and knowing how to multiply are really important for algebra and just for your own understanding of it. But it's great to have a numerical approach as well. All right, so please feel free to follow along if you found this video helpful. I do think that preparing for the Regents exam is really important. And what I say to my students is you're not just going for that passing grade. It is kind of easy to pass, they say, but getting that mastery level 85 or above is what you should all be really, really aiming for. Okay, so I believe that that's possible for many, many students. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Robin's Ready Learning. My name is Leah, and we'll talk soon.